Hi everybody, this is Agnes from Sediment, and today we are going to talk about wines same score problem. And we will be tasting 3 wines with the same score, but at 3 different price points and see whether they really are wines of the same quality. I guess I don't really need to explain why 2 stylistically completely different wines can receive the same score. After all, it is quality, not style, that we are judging. And no matter if a judge prefers a specific style or not, they should evaluate wine honestly based on its quality, not style. Now, pricing is something different. I am going to say something that I know many of you will disagree with, and some might even unsubscribe over. But I value honesty above all else. Even if that honesty is not pleasant or at the moment does not make sense, I invite you to think about what I have said before you write an angry comment. When evaluating a quality of wine, price should not matter, but in majority of cases, critic will be given a price bracket. I have been on many judging panels where some judges want to punish a wine for being expensive. And we see it even here on my channel in the comments section. One of the most common arguments is that I can buy a Brunello, Bordeaux or Champagne for a much better price than this. Yes, but this is where the problem lies. We can say that about almost any wine style. When we judge blind, we do not know the wine and why it is so expensive. Maybe it is produced in minuscule quantities. Maybe it is from a cult producer and price has risen because of high demand. Again, we are not judging marketing decisions, viticulture or winemaking practices. We are judging wine's quality. So, if the wine is great, it deserves a high mark, even though it is very, very expensive. However, I will be more forgiving when judging value wines, simply because I do not expect the same quality or complexity from an entry-level wine as I do from a premium one. And while some of you might say that this is a double standard, it really is not. With value wines, I ask myself, how much better can a wine get at this price point? And when you ask this question, there is always a limit. If the answer is not much better, then this is it. It will get a very high score from me. The Decanter World Wine Awards highlight these wines with a value sign. And last year, in the gold and platinum categories, meaning 95 points or higher, there were more than 100 wines with that designation. Impressive. Making high-quality value wine, possibly at large volume, is that much more harder than making excellent quality, expensive wine. Often these wines cannot compete in the league as premium bottles, but they should be seen for what they are, an exceptional quality and probably the best you can get for that price. So today we are going to taste 3 wines with the same score but different price points, and we'll see if they really are of the same quality or whether the value had something to do with it. Alright, all these 3 wines of today have received 94 points by Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. I chose one publication because it really would not make sense to choose different critics because each of us score wines quite differently. And the price point goes, so the first one is around 20, the second one is around 50, and the third one is above 100 or around 100 euros. And they all have received, as I told you, 94 points. So the tasting will not be blind because all these 3 wines are quite different stylistically, and I guess I might identify each of the wine quite early in the tasting, so I would probably still know which wine is which. So it would not really be blind tasting and it would not be honest with you. So let's start with revealing the first wine and tasting the first wine. So the first wine is Bodegas Frontonio, Telescopico. So this is Garnacha blend, Garnacha Peluda, Mazzuela, 2021 vintage, and it has received 94 points. All right, because this is a Garnacha blend, I would have expected originally a bit lighter color, but I guess because it has also some Mazzuelo added, it is a bit deeper. And nose-wise, it is quite fragrant, and it is not your typical really ripe fruit profile. We have fresh raspberries, we have fresh strawberries here. We do have quite intense notes of floral characteristics. I would say like rose stems as well, something herbal, something greenish. I don't know, like a hint of blackcurrant leaf or sage or some Provence herbs. Yes, it is not the most fruit-driven wine, but it is really fragrant and quite open on the nose and quite inviting. Let's taste it. Oh, this is puzzling because when you open any book and you read about Garnacha, as a grape variety, you will usually read that it does not develop really high acidity. And of course, it really depends where it is coming from. In this specific case, we are in Aragon, in a really high elevated vineyards. So of course, as we climb up in the elevation, we expect a bit higher acidity, but this acidity is mouth-watering. In the blind tasting, it would be quite difficult to pinpoint it for me to be a Garnacha, but I think this makes this grape one of the most exciting grapes of today because it is a chameleon and we kind of have that image of Garnacha grape, you know, maybe coming from Châteauneuf-du-Pape stylistic wines or maybe coming from somewhere there here in Spain. But in reality, it can be so diverse and so unique. And this is a great example. On the palate, you have all these really sour red berries, that really mouth-watering, brisk, elevated acidity. It still does not develop that really big, opulent tannin texture. It is more playful. It is framing the wine. It is adding slight structure, but the tannin is ripe and definitely not, you know, aggressive. I do think that this is an absolutely amazing wine. It represents beautifully the grape variety, the style where it is coming from. There is slight rusticity to it, but I do think it is the character of this wine, almost like a style of this wine, and I will give this wine 92 points. Let's reveal the wine number 2, which also received 94 points by Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. And that is a Ridge, Lytton Springs 2023. It is based on Zinfandel, but it has a lot of different grape varieties added. I just look here at the label and it says Petit Syrah, Carignan, Alicante Bouschet, Mataro, which is Mourvèdre. It is not the first time I taste this wine. It might be the first time I taste this vintage, but I do remember having really fond memories of this wine. Sometimes sommeliers and wine professionals can sneer at Zinfandel or Primitivo, how it is called in Italy. But I think in good hands, this grape can really shine. And Ridge has always delivered quite high quality with their Zinfandel. So let's taste and see what this wine is about. Of course, we immediately see much deeper color. And on the nose, it is completely different fruit profile. It is much riper. It is not as reddish. It is not as sour. It is more blue and black and ultra ripe style of the fruit that has seen a lot of sunshine, a lot of warm and, you know, hot hours. But it also has some of that toastiness, you know, some shape or frame of toastiness, some shape or frame of garrigue and lavender, some floral characteristic there as well. But it is quite expressive and quite fruit-driven. Let's taste it. It is more elegant or more acidity driven or lighter in body than I remember the last time I tasted it. Maybe it is the vintage as well. And here the acidity is that much higher and the freshness of the fruit and the nerviness of the fruit on the palate is really beautiful and bright. From the nose, I was expecting more power, more punch on the palate, but here it was really more tamed down. It does have that Bordeaux style, that slightly grippy, that elevated tannin texture, but I think it adds to this wine that really beautiful structure, that backbone it needs to its otherwise really, ripe fruit profile. And I think this wine has really pleasantly surprised me. I was expecting something bigger and more opulent. I will give this wine, it makes sense to give this wine 94 points. So I am giving this wine 94 points. Let's move to the last wine, which also has received 94 points by Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. And that is Altesino, Brunello di Montalcino, but in this case it's Vigna Montosoli, so it is a single vineyard, around 5 hectares in size, and it's 2018 vintage. Oh my. This wine, I'm not sure if you can see it on the color, but it has a bricky undertone, or not even undertone, but like brick color quite intensely. And on the nose, it also is quite developed. It is 2018 vintage. I don't expect Brunello to develop so fast, but I do feel intense toasted coffee bean presence here. It also shows a lot of chocolatey notes and, crushed berries, cherries, plums. Quite intense smoky character as well. All right. So now that toastiness, that roastiness, I would call it, starting to evaporate. Yeah, slightly oxidized red cherry is starting to appear on the nose. Let's taste it. Really interesting, because on the nose, I was thinking, I might not be super excited about it, because I felt like on the nose, it did show a lot of development. But when we tasted it, it was so beautiful. It gave you everything you expect from a top Brunello wine. It had that really high, elevated acidity, but it was part of the fruit, it was part of the wine, it was part of the body. It had beautiful, well-polished, yes, they're high, but really polished type of tannin that you expect from premium Brunellos. They're not aggressive, they're not attacking you. And the mid palate was filled with all these crushed, yes, slightly oxidized red berries, but it is still lingering on my palate while I talk with you. So indeed, this wine shows that premium quality that you expect from a, top quality wine, that you expect from wine that costs 3-digit number, I guess. I will give this wine 94 points. It could have received slightly higher mark from my side, but I'm not sure I was that crazy about the nose. I am aware that Brunello is released quite late in its life, but you still want to have that freshness, that fruity character, and 2018, it is not that old. Yes, that roasty character, that roasty chocolate bean is still present here, and I think it will stay. It is part of this wine now. Okay, so we have finished our tasting. We have 3 amazing but completely different wine styles, 3 completely different price categories, and we have 92, 94, and 94. And I guess if we are judging by my scoring, then this wine, the Telescopico by Frontonio, might have received its 94 point because it also offers great value. It is around 20 euros after all. But it could also be the case because this specific wine is more modern in its expression. It is more fresh and bright fruit driven. It is more acidity shaped. And I feel that somehow nowadays we are more gravitating towards that style. So of course we want to see these wines more often in the shelves, and it definitely provides that. Ridge is something classic, but even this showed quite elevated acidity, something that I don't necessarily always expect from Californian wines, especially Zinfandel. And Altesino, that was absolute classic, but these two received the same scores from me. They received the same score from Robert Parker, Wine Advocate. So I guess we can also talk about value, finding value here. And then the only question remains what kind of style we prefer ourselves. But I do want to note that both California and Brunello di Montalcino as origins are usually known to produce wines of elevated, higher price point. So it is very difficult to get really good premium quality wine, at this 20 euro value. It's almost impossible. So, I mean, within their price category, they're still playing very well. And within their origin, they're still playing very well. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on this very topic about the same score problem with different wines, different price categories of the wines. But there's another way how we can score wine or judge wine, and it is by its drinkability. So make sure to watch this video next.